Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid South Wrestling Review for the 16th of February 1985, and we will continue through 1985 here within the next couple of days. I've watched up through the end of April, so hopefully we can get to that over the next couple of days and then start a new series or go back and finish an old one, perhaps. Don't know yet. If you have vote, please vote below. Anyway, Dirty White Boys against Shawn Michaels and Tim Horner kick us off here. Certainly, that type of major stuff. Of course, Dirty White Boys, Tony Anthony and Len Denton. Obviously, the push off. Actually, I don't know that Denton is one of these Dirty White Boys. I do know that Tony Anthony is, though. Denton leaves me wondering. But anyway, Michaels with a sidestep and ultimately uses his speed. He's teamed with Tim Horner before. Probably will again before it's all over, said and done. Michaels goes headfirst into his opponent, and they kind of clash heads a little bit. Michaels with a couple of shots. And then one of the Dirty White Boys continues their shots up and over, and big power slam by Anthony when he tags in, diving fist drop. Anthony, who of course becomes a major force in Smoky Mountain within about 8 years of this. Interesting that, back in the day, 5, 8 years on the road, and you were somebody. Nowadays, you can be on the road for 15 years in the independents and be a nobody. Couple of launching military presses by one of the Dirty White Boys, drops a few elbows. Double Russian leg sweep gets a thing going there on Tim Horner. Horner manages to get himself locked and loaded, and the White Boys are successful. Dr. Death, Steve Williams, addressing Hacksaw Jim Duggan, basically says he'll take Duggan down once and for all. Says he can outfight him, he can out wrestle him, he can out anything him. And then ultimately Dr. Death and Edgar Thomas facing Jackson and Cooper in a, I guess you'd say, squash match. Interesting that they'd put a new guy with, with Thomas there. Jackson, of course, Mike Jackson, major enhancement talent guy. Footage isn't in the best of shapes. Kind of gotta watch it a little bit. Anyway, the benefit of Thomas is that he does have basic fundamentals. Tags off to Williams. Williams, still a major force in the Mid-South area, will be until the end of the promotion within a couple of years. Double Irish whip and a back elbow by Williams. Williams kind of points out that he has the man under control. Lots of heavy brawling with both of the enhancement talents. And Williams manages to hurt one of them up into the Oklahoma Stampede 1, 2, 3. DiBiase and Duggan best dressed man contest. They basically do fan applause, and not a big surprise that Duggan is victorious here. Obviously, Jim Duggan, the huge baby face. They kind of hype the interview that DiBiase with the umbrella and the whole thing believes that there's no possible way that that he can be challenged to that level. Then we move to probably one of the bigger challenges for Kamala in the Mid-South region, at least in a little while, and that is Butch Reed. Butch Reed, of course, former tag team champion, former North American champion. Reed, probably one of the bigger baby faces in the era at the time. Several shots, kind of rocking Kamala, and the first time we've really seen Kamala kind of beaten down and overpowered here. And then we see Reed with a couple of shots, Irish whips, and ultimately shot to the midsection by Reed. Reed not worried about taking the backward step. Meanwhile, cut off a couple of chops by Kamala. Kamala manages to chop his man and stay right on him. Hard shots by Reed, who hits a couple of shots and makes it look like it's, I wouldn't say easy, but easier to handle Kamala. Kamala cuts him off again. Kamala continues with the back kick and a big splash. Referee is down and out. Not completely down and out permanently, but down and out enough that everybody needs to be kind of wondering about it. We see the double chop. We see the referee come back around and give Kamala a bit of a victory. We also see Kamala do the, I guess you'd say, kind of push out or the grabbing of the nerve hold, but good old Mr. Reed back to his feet. Kamala driving him back, but not getting all he wants. Finally, Reed takes him off his feet. Meanwhile, Skandor Akbar willing to allow interference. Meanwhile, also, we see Reed come down, Taylor come down, or I'm sorry, Iceman King Parsons and Buddy Landell come down. Kind of everybody in and interfering with a brawl out of nowhere. Kind of an old ECW style brawl, in that everybody who has an alignment shows their allegiances where their alignment may lie. Jake Roberts demands to face Terry Taylor for the television championship. Roberts is sick of waiting. Roberts is sick of doing anything that causes him to follow rules. Also says that he has signed to face Taylor and that he's not being given that opportunity. Then we go to the Rock and Roll Express versus the Alamo Brothers. And we see Gibson tie up with one of the Guerreros. And the champions, or former champions, as it were, tie off one of the Guerreros. Pretty aggressive, assertive situation. Sunset flip by Gibson. Gibson comes up and over. Meanwhile, head scissors on Ricky Morton when he's a legal man. Several shots under the chin, and we continue to fight. Good cut off of the ring, including double suplexes by the Guerreros, and they are dominant throughout. It is clear that they have a plan to get rid of the Rock and Roll Express quite a bit here, and big body slams, cutting the ring off on Ricky Morton for several minutes. Tag off to Gibson. Gibson gets beat up. Referee heads outside. Meanwhile, the Guerreros are in solid control. Interesting that they're being pushed at a level one would generally not expect them to be. Hard shots. And Gibson kind of making a comeback a little bit. Not too terribly far, but at the same time, not a backward step in the manner of things going. The referee has been knocked down. Surfboard by one of the Guerreros on Ricky Morton. The double team is there. Tag off to Gibson. Gibson with the backdrop, and both guys, all four guys in the ring. Morton or Gibson with an attempted roll up, doesn't get what he wants. Referee sees a double suplex. Again, all four guys in. Another referee in, nearly makes the near fall. Doesn't get everything on that. Chaos in the match completely. If you like the genesis of the chaos style matches, this is probably, I wouldn't say the first one by any stretch, but the first one this disorganized in Mid-South rock and roll. Does end up with the victory, though. And we move on to the next and final show in February. We'll be back with more right after this.